Welcome to the Hanshaw's Horizon podcast, where we explore learning science and everything that you need to be a high-performance learner, whether it's creating a high-performance learning classroom or becoming a high-performance learner yourself. My name is Dr. George Hanshaw, and if you like this kind of content, please give me a like and subscribe below, because we're off into part 2 of our high-performance classroom. Remember, part 1, we discussed the preparation phase, because there's paper, P-A-P-R, and the first phase was preparation, and in that phase there were 3 critical things: set a goal, predict, and connect. In the acquire phase, part 2, where we're at, we're going to specifically go over 6 techniques to help people encode, store, and retrieve the content that they are learning. And there are many ways to go about this, but we're going to break down 6 that are super easy to use. So tip number 1 is show connections. Remember, our brain, if you watch the part 1 preparation, our brain is a network of learning. It's a huge network, and the more connections you have within your network, the more of an expert you are, because what separates a novice from an expert are the number of connections they have within that network of a specific piece of knowledge. So the first thing is, show the connections. What does that mean? You can make a concept map to show the connections to previously learned material. So if you have a 6-week course, 4-week course, or 60-minute course, doesn't matter. You can show those connections through a concept map. Make sure you're showing connections to previous knowledge that was learned within the class, and even have learners connect to their previous experience. That is a hugely powerful tool. So show connections is the first technique or strategy that we can really put in simply into our courses to begin making that high performance classroom. Now, number 2, interleaving. Remember, we never want to learn content in isolation. We want to interleave content that is connected. So within the context, we always want to learn within context. So if they learn something in module 1, don't just do mass practice and lose whatever's in module 1. Bring some of that over and interleave it with module 2. Once again, what does that help us do? That helps us make those connections as well. It's kind of interesting because whether you're in sports or a learner within a classroom, whatever it may be, mass practice or just practicing that one thing a lot mentally makes you think that you're learning really well, but you're not learning within the context that it may come with. So what it's doing is it's giving you a false sense of security. So interleaving, it seems like you're making less progress and it's harder, but you're actually learning the content better. So make sure that you interleave the different content pieces that are learned in the different modules, weeks, whatever the class is, hours, minutes, whatever it may be. So that brings us to the third piece, micro-learning. Create micro-learning and connect it to the other pieces as well. So take that one specific piece of content. Now remember, we don't want to learn that specific piece in isolation. So make sure you have connections with other pieces of content as well as you create that micro-learning. And when you do that, there are so many different things you could do for micro-learning. One of my favorites is self-explaining. You can say read the first 3 paragraphs of this ginormous paper or the first 8 paragraphs, and then explain to yourself what it is and explain in very simple terms. So that's just one way that you can create micro-learning. We've all seen the micro-learning videos, so that's another way that you can create the micro-learning. Just make sure that we connect it so we're not learning in isolation. So connect it to other pieces of content. And then my favorite, not a lot of people like it for some reason, and it's testing. And the reason why, so I'm not saying testing 4 points. Create quizzes, create tests that, remember Bloom's taxonomy, we want to start at the higher orders of learning as opposed to the recall. So if you're just testing for recall, that means we're learning in isolation. We don't want to learn in isolation. We want to learn in context with all this other stuff. So what does that mean we have to do? It's kind of straightforward. When we test, we want to test for a synthesis of material, things like that. So what makes this powerful is we can ask scenario-based, situational-based questions where learners have to bring context from other modules, other bits of learning to create the answer. And it does not have to be for a score, for points for your final grade. Whatever your learning culture is there, follow that. So if it needs to have points with it, then give them points just for accomplishing it. That can be done as well. Super easy way to create testing in a way that's very powerful to help encode, store, and retrieve. Remember, that is our goal. Encode, store, and retrieve. I'll say it in a minute. So those are 4 of the 6 so far. So show connections. We can do that with a mind map. There's a bunch of other ways as well. Mind map is one simple, very powerful way to do it. Interleave, that means make sure that we're taking learned content from other modules and bringing it within what we're doing now. Microlearning, so create microlearning. In other words, break these big, heavy concepts down. Continue to learn in the context of that larger concept, but break down pieces into microlearning so it's simple and it's easy. And to be able to do that, microlearning, it's really great to have people self-explain. And then testing, you can have no stakes test where it's not for anything, but remember to not to test at the remember level or the recall level. Test up around the synthesis level using scenarios and situationally based questions. Those are 4 very powerful ways. So let's get into number 5. Number 5 is teach someone else. So you can teach someone else. So in order to teach somebody, you really have to be able to explain things very clearly and very well. A professor by the name of Feynman, a physicist by the name of Feynman, has a Feynman technique where you have to be able to teach someone else, explain things super simple. And we're going to dive into that into another podcast and look at how he takes a look at studying and learning in order to encode, store, and retrieve. That'll be for another day. So just remember, teach someone else. And in order to be able to teach somebody else, you have to be able to break things down into very simple terms. And if you don't have somebody there, teach yourself. If you are creating a course, one great way is through like character AI. You can create chatbot characters that ask questions, and then you give responses. You teach the chatbot, so the student will teach the chatbot and get feedback as they teach, because that is really one of the biggest ways that we can shape how learners learn and really help learning stick, is to give that feedback as well. And we can do that when we're teaching someone else in one of these AI chatbots, such as Character AI. And then the 6th, we talked about self-explaining, but now we're going to take it a little bit deeper. We're going to say self-explain and revise. And when we self-explain and revise, we're going to self-explain, then we're going to purposely call out new content. And guess what happens when we call out new content? Then we're going to revise what we just explained to make it simpler and simpler and to continue. So let's roll back to number 1. We're going to make more connections with that. So we always want to make connections. Connect, connect, connect. So those are 6 simple strategies and tools that you can use to help create that high performance classroom. So show connections, interleave content, create micro-learning, use testing, teach someone else, and then self-explain and revise. So I hope this was helpful. Give me a like and subscribe, and have a fantastic week.